The other night I was walking home and I was on one side of the street. It was dark, and out of the corner of my eye, walking the opposite direction, was a gentleman who I know and who previously I had the sense that there was a very strong spiritual connection, an energetic connection. It would be the type of situation where when we would encounter each other, I would feel their emotions, their heart chakra. And it was very potent, vroom, vroom, heart chakra experience. And when we would talk to each other, it was like we would enter into this bubble where space and time melted away. And we were talking at the superficial level that was normal, but having a deeper conversation nonetheless. And it was like we could manifest each other if we were out and about. And it was very potent. I thought that it was very similar to a twin flame type of experience had I engaged with it. But here's the thing, I am a little more mature, a little more savvy about these soul connections and about my own patterns, which is why I spend a lot of time teaching you about your potential patterns or other people's patterns to raise the awareness, because they really do dictate our creation of reality and reality shifting. And it's unavoidable, right? And so when I initially attracted this person and vice versa, I had a pattern active in my life that I thought was resolved. But as I got to know this person, I realized that they represented another symbol, another archetype of that pattern that I had been working on for years. And in particular, this is related to me magnetizing emotionally unavailable people. So partners that are already paired up, people that have blockages with their heart, with their emotions, people that are scared of love, and all as a way for me to work on my own unavailability, right? And I made great progress in this. But as soon as I found out that he was unavailable, and I won't go into the how, I immediately backed out. And the thing about these magnetism points of attraction is that they are incredibly alluring, especially when you and another person are magnetizing the complementary opposing lesson for each other, or the mirror of an experience that you both could see each other. And so as soon as I realized that all of the mistakes I've made in the past have been based on, in this situation, I've made other mistakes, but in this situation have been based on scarcity mindset. That when I felt that strong connection, the potential of a connection, the magnetism, right? I would think to myself, I need to pursue it at all costs. And then I realized what a terrible error that was in judgment, because it was basically telling the universe that I would settle for less and that I wasn't really ready on so many levels, because I was willing to engage with unavailable people in a variety of different ways, even if it was just waiting for them to become available and still dipping my toe in the water. So here's the fascinating thing. The other night when I saw this person, and it's been now a couple of times that I've had this experience, but last night was the most pronounced. I saw them out of the corner of my eye. At first, I almost didn't recognize them because it seems like they're going in a different life path direction. So their physical appearance has changed. And when I saw them, I was like, there's nothing there anymore. The attraction point is chemically inert. There is no reaction. And I have been experiencing this several times. It's almost been this diminutive effect that since I've really been focused on shutting it down, not even entertaining a friendship, not even like Instagram liking their photos or vice versa, but I mean like completely shutting it down. And what has happened is that I've also shifted realities, and it looks like they're on a different transformation journey. And now there's no point of attraction, or it's very, very minimized. Now, because I'm in this dedicated to my personal work and to my personal lessons, I didn't acknowledge them. And I thought maybe they didn't see me and it was no big deal. Like I didn't wave, I didn't make eye contact. I just kept shutting it down. I'm demonstrating to the universe my consistency and to myself. And later on, when I was back at my house, I could feel their sadness and heart chakra that I guess they did see me. And they were hurt that I didn't even attempt to make eye contact. And this is the second time this has happened. The last time we crossed paths and I was wearing a hat and I saw them and I ducked my head down. But then as we passed, I realized that I couldn't just keep my eyes at the sidewalk. So I was like, hello. And they were like, hello. And then we didn't stop. This is one of the first times that we didn't stop and talk to each other. And I could feel as I was leaving that moment with them, I could feel that the energy was also inert. There was still a little bit of resonance. But now, with another encounter, it's almost like completely gone. Almost like it never existed. Which makes me feel as though there really is something to these soul contracts and this magnetism that we feel for people in relation to an extension of our lessons. And when we start to really do the work and we start to really change, this has always sort of been a theory of mine, our point of attraction changes as well. Which is why when we look backwards into the past, even though we may have had a very strong magnetic attraction to somebody, when the people are starting to shift away from each other, there's naturally a loss in that attraction. And it's almost like, I've noticed this too with another soul potential partner that was just as strong as this one energetically, and they all have different resonances and vibrations, And there are some soul connections that are more familial, but the more, the romantic ones, those are the ones that stand out to you because they have the potential to be life-changing, right? And this is one that it never got off the ground because it was so powerful, and they were also emotionally unavailable, but they weren't partnered. But whenever we would try to hang out, they would make plans with me. And I could feel their nervousness as they were approaching, and then they would cancel. And something would come up. Something would always come up. And it was kind of like this repetitive thing. And it was like they were scared, and I could feel their nervousness. And I was scared too, right? And so I had nervousness as well, but I was like, take a deep breath. It's okay. We're going to breathe through it. Okay. And, but what ended up happening is that it was too intense and our behavior patterns were not compatible. And the way that they handled their fear and the way that they handled their emotions was distinctly incompatible, and it just resulted in a failure to launch. But it took me some time to realize that. And they shifted into a life path where it seems like they went on easy mode with their relationships and decided to pick partners that I think were less confronting emotionally, because the intensity of what we felt was acknowledged, and it was just something that we weren't ready for, and myself included. It would have crashed and burned in a really horrific way. Now I can look back and I can see that more clearly. But anyway, so when I look at photos of them, because we're no longer in the same country, when I look at photos of them, again, there is a complete inert feeling. It's almost as though I can see the path that they went down, which is not compatible with where I went. And it's like all of a sudden that energy never existed. It's evaporated. And I see their life and their declaration of their choices and the personality that they are emanating, right? And that was another thing with that one, is that I felt like I was connecting to somebody deeper than their external personality, but they were scared to show the world that deeper person. And so as a result, they preferred to stay in the surface level. And I didn't like that. And I also was struggling with that lesson. And interestingly, I felt as though I could show myself to them, and they helped me a lot, actually, to come out. But it didn't seem that coming out was a priority for them. And they did come out to me in private, but they chose to maintain relationships and superficial relationships that help them feel like they were fitting in, even though it came at what appeared to be a great cost to them. And it was like they had peacock feathers that they were donning, and they did so very well, but did so in a way that was incompatible with the type of a relationship that their soul was actually being drawn to. And when I could see that in myself. And that's when I really started opening myself up to the world. And it's been a process. But what I want to convey to you is that if you find yourself in a similar situation where you have this strong magnetism with somebody, wait it out. Make sure it's actually a good fit, because it's a lot more temporary than people talk about. You know, like, especially as a reality shifter and as somebody that is also in the personal transformation journey, you're growing, you're moving. You're not staying still, and you're not staying the same. And so as a result, the people that you attract as you are reality shifting might be very, very different people. And this can change on the order of months to even years. And so as a result, I feel as though when we look at things like the twin flame culture or social media posts about them, people can stay hung up on them for a really long time. Even though they're changing and they're moving, it's like they're hung up on a memory in their minds. And it can change so quickly, especially if you see that that partner is moving in a different direction. Then the attraction point that is being held onto can evaporate without your knowledge, right? But then you're putting your life on hold, or you're creating this manifestation to, reconnect with them. And this is something I advise in my twin flame facilitation coaching, which is part of the reality shifting coaching. and when I work with twin flame partners in separation. And one thing that we have to do is we have to tap into the vibration of the field, the quantum field, and see if your twin flame higher self person is trying to connect with your higher self version. And if so, then there is a bridge to a manifestation that we can work towards. But sometimes there's not, right? Sometimes it's just a solo journey that you're a catalyst for each other, and then you both let go and you move on in different directions. But I don't think that people often recognize that or realize that. And so what happens is that you end up holding on to this outdated construct of a person accidentally and build a manifestation that is ultimately an illusion that is A, possibly never coming into fruition, and B, if it does, it's going to be highly unsatisfactory because like you finally get to the airport and they're picking you up and you see them and you're like, oh, F, and no way. And it's inert. And that's where I think that we have a lot of work to do when we conceptualize these really powerful magnetic connections. Because where I come from, we tend to really weight them very heavily as this sort of be-all, end-all connections and relationships. And really, I think that they are valuable. I'm not trying to devalue them. They're very powerful. But I think that we need to put them in context and to say that from your existence, from the person that you are at that moment and the patterns that you have and that they have, then it makes sense that there would be a strong potential for bonding. But if you're really on the journey and really doing the work, and they are too, and you guys are moving in different directions, you could be going the same direction, or you could move in different directions and link back up. That's another option. But when you're moving apart and you see that they're, growing their hair out and picking new friends, dressing differently, listening to new music, or trying out different hobbies, and you don't resonate with any of that, or let's say they're an artist and they're making art that you're kind of like, not so sure about that. That's an attraction thing, because the way we vibrate and resonate with people's hobbies and music and clothes and mannerisms, it's all part of the package of the energy signature. And there are many different ways that people can resonate. It's not always romantic. And so if you're looking at your person and you're realizing that you're not really vibing with them, even if you're just looking at their Instagram or you're looking at their Facebook, do people still use it? I know they do. I don't know if my listeners, I'm not a big Facebook fan. I don't know why it is. I'm just really not. And anyway, so you're looking at their photos, wherever it is, and you're having that inert feeling. That's something to really pay attention to, because it's an indication that the magnetism and the point of attraction is leaving or is gone. And it's time to be cognizant and aware of that, because when you are awake to that, it allows you to also evaporate the illusion, because our minds can create this nostalgic memory that we just love to hold on to like a teddy bear, And some people have very, very acute visual memories where they can pull up sequences of events and live in their heads, right? And what happens is that when everything goes inert, that person is gone, like you're gone and they're gone. So you're holding on to a bookmark of something that no longer exists, which can, if you're not careful, tie up your energy tie up your cycles, tie up your manifestation creation energy, tie up your reality shifting plans, and prevent you from being free to bump into the next person or the path that is queued up for you. And so you don't want to get your energy or your cycles or your lifelines tethered to something that is evaporating, right? You want to be free to shift into where your next chapter is going to be. So listen, I am a reality shifting coach, as I'm sure you can tell if you haven't already heard many times before. I love what I do, and it's just so amazing to hear everybody's journeys. And if you're called to work with me, and you'll know if you are because you'll feel it, then feel free to reach out to me and we can explore one-on-one reality shifting coaching. I love working with divine masculines and helping to level them up. So if you're in separation and you're a twin flame counterpart, and also the divine feminine, it's not gender specific, as you know, or probably know, but I've had to do a lot of healing of my own masculine energy. And so I can speak from personal experience as well as the mystical side. And it was a process for me to actually step into my feminine. And so if you are resonating with my content, if you're in separation, or if you're interested in reality shifting, letting go of some of these sacred contracts and moving into the new chapters of your next series of realities, then feel free to reach out to me at sacredjourneyproductions@gmail.com. Okay, we'll talk soon.